Good evening, everybody. We are live. How is everybody doing tonight? Hope everybody's having a really good day so far. Getting ready for that. Getting ready for Friday here. Hope you guys had. It was actually a phenomenal day here. We had like almost 75. I don't know where it was where you guys were, but it was just amazing today. After the start of just absolute downpours. So let's see when we got tonight. Who's all here so far? Null. Oh, that was first, by the way. Yeah, you were. Congratulations. Once again, that's what matters most. Who is first? What else we got? Name of some sorts of third. Wrong Busch brother. Did I put the wrong? Oh, what did I put down? Oh, Kyle. Okay, yeah. Whoopsie. Kyle Busch. Yes, I'll fix that now. Although they both have had their own issues throughout the years, and I forget which one of them's got a couple of DUIs. I think actually both of them at this point. So fix that, Melanie. Iron Rules, yay, catching a live show. Zero Buck saying Veritas ousting O'Keefe. Yeah, that doesn't seem like that's a false flag or that's staged at all. Certainly, that seems 100% legitimate. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's an interesting way of doing it instead of just killing him. So, I mean, at least I'll give Pfizer credit for that. Hold on, I got to answer this one first. Okay, still no new emoji from Parallax. Shame. Okay, I went back through and I sat there for about 20 minutes last night looking at it. I don't remember how I did it the first time. And when you Google how do you do emojis on YouTube in your creator studio, it's not very helpful, the directions. I kind of like spurred my way through it the first time and I don't remember it. So at some point, we'll get some new ones. But anyways, hello, everybody else that's here. Sweet Tooth, hello. Job well done. Justin, hello. Bye, Franz. How are you doing? 4M, hello. Gina, under review. Miss Dinga Dinga, don't need no hateration, holleration, and this dancery. Toothless, hello. David, hello. He's saying Murdaugh did it with the wrench in the dog kennel. At this point, yeah. Ag Biochemist, how you doing? Sky Queen, Stabby. Sweet Tooth saying I need shots tonight. No, I have I got work tomorrow, so no, I can't be doing shots. Cannot be doing shots. Man, I can't wait till I have I don't know. I think I have a couple Fridays coming up. I don't have anything planned. I think at least for now, my March looks pretty good because one of those Fridays, I'm pretty sure St. Patrick's Day. So I can tell you this much. Yeah, the night of the 16th and the 17th, we might be getting tore up just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. So let's see. Porcelain Thunders, George Bush. Yeah, not that. NXL for $4.99. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. I'm as first as Madonna's next conquest. Ooh, oof. J Rock, how you doing? Tina, hello. Chris saying I don't show us live on your sub. I don't know. I mean, that's once again. Susan knows. Spirit, hello. Ashley, hello. Say, where else are we guys at? Did I see the video of the guy getting away from the Ohio SWAT team? No, I have not. That sounds very interesting. That sounds very interesting. Trot Golfer, how you doing? Stormcrow, hello. Let's go, Brandon. Hello. Say, am I sure? I mean, here's the deal. I'll do. I'll do if I try do fear. I'll do 4. I'll do 4 if people are interested. I'll do 4 shots. How about that? 4 shots. Got to be somewhat responsible. Peter Spin, he says he rolled a nat 20 with that wrench swing on Paul. Yeah. Alex knows about Building 7. Yes. Never tell us when we can encourage extreme drinking. Oh, it'll be fun that day. Bob Johnson, could Alex Murdaugh be held liable for his trial pouring me to death? Well, at this point, it's not him, it's the state. And I know we're about to get started because it's been a couple of minutes. Jim, how you doing, brother? Yes, I did see that, and I've seen it before, and it's absolutely fucking awful to watch. And I'm thinking about doing a video on that. Because even though, nobody was charged, I can definitely find some charges there. Trot Golfer says, did I see the reporter arrested in Ohio? Yes, that happened today. I'm thinking about doing something tomorrow on that in the afternoon, just knocking out a quick video, but I'm also hoping to see who's actually taking the blame for it, because for right now, the governor's saying he didn't tell anybody to do it, and the sheriffs aren't saying who told them to arrest that guy. And he was a reporter from News Nation. There's a really nasty train wreck here over on the near the Pennsylvania state line. I forget. Basically, it was some of the nastiest chemicals you can have, and the trains were burning, and they had to detonate one of the cars to set it off to control the spread so it didn't leach into the ground. And it's kind of, it's bad. It's very, very bad. And a reporter got arrested today, and it's not been clear why he was arrested. Also, I forgot where the hell did it go? Goddamn scrolling. Carlos Ramirez, member for 5 months. Thank you so much. I appreciate that support. Be a man, Sean. You know what? I am a man among men, like the Rhodesian army, but me walking into court, I got to be on my A game tomorrow. Tomorrow's a big day. I got a big hearing. I gotta go beat some ass tomorrow morning. Pay this man until he thinks his name is Count Drincula. Oh. Yeah. Porcelain says, isn't the whole state a nasty train wreck? Depends on the day, but yes, fair critique. Fair critique. When I saw the when I saw the real train story, I thought of you. Have you been mixing concrete for the train tracks? Oh, there's better ways to derail a train than that. And it's not like you could go on here on YouTube and type in OSS train derailment video, and you could see them demonstrating with how much rail you need to remove to properly derail a train. That's certainly not here on YouTube, and you certainly can't Google that. I mean, that would be awful if they disclosed that information. And believe it or not, to really derail a train, I mean, not just knock it off the rails, but crash it, takes a lot more rail disappearing than you'd think. A lot of other times, the train just kind of hops the jump. So be prepared. What's the hearing tomorrow? It's part of a custody case I'm involved with, so we'll be all right. Jim says drinking is considering a hearing aid for a lot of attorneys. I don't need to. David says thermite rails. Well, actually, thermite would be important. Oh, locals reminder. Oh, all right. Yeah, damn it. I got this locals thing, and then I don't pump it or push it or do anything in it. I need to get back on that. So yes, guys, potentiallycriminal.locals.com. We have a chat up now. This one's a free for all. You can do whatever you want there and just join as friends. And you can say whatever you want. Oh, hold on here. You son of a bitch. Something I don't mind about. There we go. All right, that got fixed. I can't wait to see all the boomer. Stabby says, how are you ever going to be a judge if you won't show up for trial drunk once in a while? Back in the day, there were all kinds of stories hearing about the old timers doing that, but nope. I need a pre-fight checklist. Actually, that might not be a bad idea. His Discord mods are really slacking too. You can say almost anything in there. Yeah, I know. I really got some gay ass Discord mods. Especially some they know who they are. So, all right, guys, I guess we'll start off with the Murdaugh case real quick. If you haven't been watching, it's been a disaster. They've basically introduced everything they can that's prejudicial and not relevant to the case to make Alec Murdaugh look like a bad guy. Like, we get it. He stole a couple $1 million, was really bad. And it sounds like they may have been responsible for his son plowing that boat into the bridge and killing people. Okay, cool. I don't know why that needed to come into the trial and why that makes it any more likely or less likely he killed his wife and son. But the prosecution's allowed to bring it in. And this is an excuse, or it's a great example of a judge who's not controlling his courtroom. Not everything can be brought in. That's the problem here. And it's just been a joke. And yes, it's all within the judge's discretion, but he's clearly abusing his discretion because he's not exercising it ever. Alyssa, get a hold of me later. I want to talk to you, see what's up. Let me know what's going on. Oh, okay. Well, that one time, yeah, sorry. A name of some sources, I can't get over how permissive this judge has been. At least he somewhat held back the prosecution in one instance. Yeah, he held them back like one time out of the other 5,000. That was the problem. We're getting into the weeds. We spent an hour and a half worrying about how this attorney was doing the discovery for a wrongful death lawsuit that had nothing to do with the case. Letting him explain their theories, letting him explain how he was preparing the case, which had nothing to do with the murder. It was just awful. It was just awful. Goalie saying, I never realized how wildly inconsistent judges can be. Oh, they can be. There's times where this happens where I wish the judges were just far more strict. You can have a judge who's a complete prick, but at least you know what you're getting. And that's always, believe it or not, that's preferable because at least you know what's going to happen and you can prepare. Ag biochemist saying rural South Carolina sounds pretty corrupt. Yeah, it does. But that's going to be in a lot of places. It's not just in the South. I mean, you get to a lot of rural locations where you have families that have been in power and there's, just a small time setting. It's just as easy to have that corruption there as you can in a big city. It's just it's a different kind of corruption. So it's not just in South Carolina. I mean, you could probably find it all over the South. You could probably find it, you could find it in rural Ohio if you look hard enough. So that's not actually, like I said, it's not just the South. Gina saying, is the judge in South Carolina elected? I don't know if he was elected, but I know I think he was not originally meant to take this case, but they assigned him this case. So I don't know if he wins or loses has any effect on him. Sweet Tooth Fairy saying, I think the only piece of evidence is the audio clip with the dog holding the bird. Yeah, that could be it. We'll have to see though. The defense has not had the chance to put their case on, and I have a feeling their case is going to be a little more airtight and a little more logically laid out than the state's case. Because I don't understand why they introduced all the financial stuff in the middle of the murder. Get the murder done and then talk about the financial stuff as your motive. I don't understand why they've done it in this order. It's just a joke. Charles is saying in my state we vote on judges, as do we here in Ohio. All judges are voted on. They run for election. A good idea, but unless you hide or unless you search through all their opinions, you really can't tell if they're worth a shit or not. You know, what I would tell you is talk to attorneys, talk to the police, because they arrest people and then they find out what the judges do. And sometimes they don't like certain judges. They're too lenient. They think they're more than enough. That's how you'll really get a gauge. Their opinions aren't really the issue. It's what they do and, how people view them. And that's, I think, probably a better way to do it. And then some people are here going to say, well, it's better if your judge is appointed. I don't know if that's the case, because you're getting the same. If you're concerned about corruption, you have the same issues. It's just your corruption is now in your state house and people are bribing and wheeling and dealing there to get appointed versus a judge doing whatever to get elected. I think is it really any better? So, Winter Soldier saying he's also the judge assigned to the financial case. And that makes sense. That would make 100% sense to have him involved on both. Richard Gruber for $5. Thank you for the super chat. You wanted to say, nice avatar, by the way. Like your profile with the drum. The opinion on contacting Republican House members to defund the ATF until they rescind the brace rule, hopeless or worth a try. If it passes the House, it's dead in the Senate. So, no, this is all bullshit legislation they could have passed in 2017. When they had the House, they had the Senate, and they had a presidency. And they don't. They don't have any of those. So it doesn't matter to even get through Senate. Biden's going to kill it. You don't have enough to override. So this is no different than the assault weapons bans that are getting pushed right now from the Democrat side. It's the same thing. They don't have enough votes. It's all a joke. It's all posturing. It's all political grandstanding. So you can call them, and that way you can help. That way you have them on record for saying how they believe things. But I don't, it's not going to change anything. Analytical T says, getting back to Murdaugh, why isn't the defense objected more? I don't know. I think there's maybe been a lot of pretrial things, or they just realize the state's case is that bad. Just let them keep running. That, or they realize this judge is going to let them do whatever he wants. I mean, sometimes it's discouraging. Sweet Tooth Fairy saying, Joe keeps saying you don't need to prove motive. Is that true? That's correct. Unless it's an aggravated murder where you're trying to, you're showing intent by showing a plan and all that together, yes, a motive is helpful. Because if you're just saying, hey, jury, this guy killed, Bob killed Sally, why? I mean, we are story-driven people. We're story-driven creatures. We need to know why. Because it just doesn't make any sense he randomly killed her. Okay, well, that never happened, so why did he kill her? What was the story? What was the issue behind it? Having that motive helps. The motive could be as simple as it was a drug deal. Or there could be some massive conspiracy. Or here, there's a, long-standing political corruption. There's deaths. There's all kinds of weird things going on. You need a story, and it helps sell it. If you don't have a narrative, you're going to ask, where's the narrative? Walter Malone for $5. Thank you for the super chat. Says the state's case is convict because he's an asshole, and here's everyone he's left over that would Minecraft his family. Yes, and that's the thing. Every time the state has done this so far, they've now enlarged the pool of people who could have done this. And I said it before on Nick's stream. I think a lot of you would agree. If you had $1 million and then somebody stole it from you, I'd be really considering the idea I might want to kill them. Or if somebody stole all your life savings and ruined everything for you, or you got hit by a car and he stole your settlement, you know, that's a serious deal for a lot of people. So yeah, you want to find a suspect, just throw a rock and you'll hit one. Um, Winter Soldier says always vote no to retain a judge because if there's an active campaign to remove them, the judge they suck. Not always. I mean, there's still a political issue in a lot of places. The judge aren't. They're not politically. You can't put political affiliations on a ballot, but you don't think a Republican Party or Democrat Party would like to control as many seats as they can in their local area? I mean, if they think they have a stronger candidate, they'll run them. That doesn't mean the other judge sucks. It's just they think they want to, take over. Let's see here. Murdaugh funding his defense with the money he stole. No, this is probably his family's money. They wouldn't, a lot of that would have been clawed back or frozen by now. Carla Barrick for $5. Thank you, Carla. Says thank you for perspectives tonight. You're welcome. You're welcome. There might be more. Oh gosh, where are we? Oh, Tarkina Meyer says, good to see you, Tarkina. It's been a little while. Actually, I think it was last week, but my theory is he killed the son because he was going down for the reckless death of the girl, and mom happened to be there. It's possible. Very possible. That could be it, but I'm not convinced he did it yet. Once again, I don't think he's innocent, and I don't think he's not guilty. I just don't think the state's proven it beyond a reasonable doubt yet. But we'll have to see what happens if they go further. So let's see here. Ag Biochemist saying, why is peeing trending on Twitter? I really don't want to know. I don't want to know. Branco says, explain the two guns. I think the theory that was brought up on it's been brought up on Nick's stream before that maybe it wasn't that shotgun that was used. It was a different shotgun. Boom, boom. And there's a rifle fully loaded. Okay, well, you're going to use that now. Any number of things can make sense. Put together a theory at this point. I think it's going to be valid. And that's how bad the state's case has been so far. So, that's the issue there. Boomer says, I think he killed the wife and the son got in the way. It doesn't make as much sense because the wife got killed with the rifle and it's clear she's like running away because the shots are like chasing her and the way she gets hit up the body. I don't see that one being the first death. I think the son was the first death. He got ambushed and somebody schwacked him and then went after her. I think is probably the more proper way of looking at it. Jania too. I hope I said your name right. This whole trial reminds me of the old TV show In the Heat of the Night. I remember watching that as a kid. And actually, guys, if you have never seen it, the movie In the Heat of the Night with Rod Stewart and also Sidney Poitier, when Sidney Poitier won an Oscar, it's actually a very, very, very good movie. Phenomenally done movie. It was really good. It was an amazing movie. So I suggest you watch the movie. The show's not bad either. I think Ag Biochemist saying, I think a drug cartel killed them. Possibly. I guess I'd always put it this way. Like the Pike County case, people thought it was a drug cartel. When it was just the hillbillies next door, the hillbilly rival drug dealers. Could be the cartel, but I think it's more likely somebody related to everything that was going on. So somebody related to that lawsuit. Somebody related to people that got hurt. I think that's the more likely if you have to pick an outside party. Um, Porcelain Thunder saying, my theory is he needed the wife's death certificate in order to access the cash stored in offshore accounts in her name. Same with real estate. She found out about it, was going to leave. Son was in the wrong place. Yeah, but the son's standing still and gets, shot. It doesn't make any sense. Why is he chasing mom outside the house, gunning her down? He would probably get away with being able to ambush her and then chasing after him. That's why I think it doesn't work. The evidence doesn't show she died first. I think she died second. Bob Johnson says it's the Boondock Saints theory. Yes, it was one man with multiple guns. Or yes, we should be lucky it wasn't a super huge guy crushing everybody. Oh. Carl is saying, I think he used two different weapons to create a two perpetrator theory. Sure, that could easily be it too. Using multiple weapons, just doing things that aren't normal or remotely logical. Yeah, throws. Look, it doesn't. Nothing makes sense at this crime scene, and we all have a million different theories at this point. And at the end of the day, we all have to admit we don't really know what happened. It doesn't make any sense at all. So yes, if throwing a wrench into this can cause problems like that. So J Rock says, "Call me Mr. Tibbs." Oh. Oh, it's Rod Seeger? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Rod Stewart. Okay. Yeah, my bad. Yes, A-Dub says, they call me Mr. Tibbs. Virgil Tibbs. Robert Lawrence saying, what about the bomb threat at the courthouse? That's just because it's on the news and it's all over the place. I guarantee you that's just some dipshit on the internet. It has nothing to do with. I really don't think a juror called it in. I just think it was some Yahoo because it's important and it's all over the place. So you're going to call it a bomb threat. Ainsley Hayes says, you actually think he's innocent or you're trolling us? I don't think he's I don't think he's I mean, he might be guilty, but they haven't proven it. Do I think he's innocent? No, I don't think he's innocent. But I think an even more likely issue is he set them up and had a hitman get him. I mean, that's kind of that's something I've been mulling over in the back of my head, that he had somebody get them. But we'll find out. Stormcrow, it's like, there was a firefight. Yes, just like on Boondock Saints. Yes, Bob's like, some huge freaking guy. Oh. Garrett Pace says in 22 minutes he leaves no physical evidence, no murder weapons, and no known motive, but he's definitely guilty. Sure. You know, I've said it before. If you're going to commit a crime, you have to basically be perfect right off the bat. In his case, he got lucky because the police that responded were very inept. They didn't control the crime scene. They let it get contaminated. There are a bunch of things they could have done, and they haven't been able to do it. You saw yesterday with the FBI evidence guy who says, like, well, I don't know, that we didn't really confirm anything about the electronics on the car. We don't know if it was in park or drive or whatever was going on. He has been able to take advantage of the fact the state sucks at doing their job. And that's part of the reason why he pushed for speedy trial. He knew they weren't ready. I guess they gambled on that, and it's paying off. So that's what's helping him more. The ineptitude of the state is helping him more than any skill he may have had at sanitizing his crime scene. Attila Hunt says that I missed the guns and weed. No, we're not there yet. We're still on Murdaugh, but we're going to wrap this up in a second here. Job well done says the police were inept, but you repeat yourself, sir. Oh. And because of Batman says that's the state's fault, not his. And it's true. 100% true. And Stabby saying his crimes weren't exactly super sophisticated. He made a phony account and cut bogus checks when his normal secretary was out. I don't think he could pull off murder. Yeah, I mean that's another thing to consider, but it's who knows. That's why I think he had somebody kill them and set it up that way, because he would know better than anybody else all the information. Like, hey, I want you to kill my son, and he's always armed, and he's, normally he's got a rifle with him, so you better be ready to take him out first. So that's where we are with it. We'll see what happens going forward, but they've already taken, the state has taken up all the time that was initially projected to try and defend the entire case. They don't even know when they're going to be done. So that's all I can tell you. I know the defense is getting very frustrated by that because they don't know how to prepare. I think the judge should have held them to account for that, but he didn't. So once again, this is the judge not controlling a courtroom. Any judge worth the crap would have said, okay, look, you're done by this date, or would have held them to the fire every day. How are you looking? What's the date going to end? Brandon Coe says they still get to make a rebuttal. 100% they do. 100% they do. So the next thing, and you guys are, it feels so, fine, we'll do Kyle. The U.S. government may have committed a war crime and tried to frame Russia during a massive war that's raging right now. And it's like, everybody's like, what about Kyle Busch? Okay, we'll talk about Kyle Busch now. Oh, geez. I know Daytona's coming up, but hey, also the F1 season's starting up. Okay, so Kyle Busch avoids a 3-year prison sentence after bringing a gun to Mexico. Now, that's important. Mexico, as they say, Ethan Ralph's new mother country, that's apparently accepted him into their bosom. You're not allowed to bring firearms to Mexico. Don't do it. And that's an issue because in America, you could walk around guns all the time. People carry them in their bags, and then normally they get popped at the airport. Okay, great. Kyle got all the way to Mexico before they found it. Well, that's not a good thing. Why? Because you can go to prison. Why? Well, Mexico has a big problem, if you haven't noticed. Not just with guns, but with chainsaws, particularly chainsaws to people's heads. Now, it's not going to be bad for him. Everything turned out okay. So he was arrested by the National Guard in Mexico on January 27th when people at an airport found a gun and ammunition in his luggage. Last week, he was sentenced to 3.5 years in prison and ordered to pay $1,000 fine, which is like 55 million pesos, I think, something like that, probably. I don't know, just, make you want to go like, oh, los míos. The Mexican federal attorney's office has revealed that a local judge allowed conditional punishment for Kurt Busch. He left the country after paying an undisclosed bond. Now, yes, I know what you're all thinking. Wow, did he pay that judge off? And I know what you're all thinking is, yes, he probably did. Yes, I'm sure some local judge was just going to let some gringo walk. Now, if it was you, is he going to just let some gringo walk? Probably not. So just something to think about, be careful about, because when you go to foreign countries, you play by their rules. Now, Yes. Would the U.S. government try to help you? Sure. Would it amount to anything? I don't know. So he said, he had made a mistake by um, forgetting his weapon and ammo were in his bag because he's got a carry permit. Okay, man, he probably flies around with it, but uh, whew, good job. He says the gun led to my detainment while the situation resolved. I was not aware of Mexican law and had no intention of bringing it. I was not aware of Mexican law. I mean, I don't know how you can't be aware you can't bring a gun to Mexico. I think you knew that, but I get it. You got to sound like an idiot for the press. I had no intention of bringing the handgun into Mexico. When it was discovered, I fully cooperated with the authorities, accepted the penalties, and returned to North Carolina. Yes, I'm sure you accepted the penalties. Like, here you go, amigo. Here is some money. Now, can I el levo now? I apologize for my mistake and appreciate the respect shown by all parties as we resolve the matter. Well, the one party doesn't care about respect; they care about getting paid. So, um, I like this. My family and I consider this issue closed. I bet you do. So, the gun was a 380 with 6 hollow point bullets. And that's important because in Mexico, you're not allowed to own current military use calibers, and that includes 380. So there are guns you can possess in Mexico, but they're generally not military calibers. So, for example, a very common caliber is 38 Super, which is actually pretty ball around in a pistol. But you can use it in Latin America because it's not a military caliber. So, for example, owning an AR-15 is pretty much impossible. Well, you could own an AR-15 if you're willing to shell out a couple of bucks, and you could probably get a free one from the cartel. But it was scanned at a terminal for private aircraft. So obviously he didn't fly in on United, but he probably flew on a private jet, and they have separate customs for that, and they found it. So a judge determined he could go to court, and the judge will set his conditional punishment. So at some point he's gonna have to go back down, and they'll set his punishment. And I'm assuming they're gonna pay more money to this judge, and he's gonna have a brand new house, and he'll say, "You're free to go, amigo." And yes, he will race in the Daytona 500 coming up this weekend. Oh, I can't believe it. It's already wait. Daytona it says February 13th. That's Monday. Sure they don't mean the 12th? Okay, whatever. Goalie 171 says you play for the WNBA, you have diplomatic immunity. The amateur iconoclast says F1 is a glorified parade. Okay. Oh, wait. You're going to tell me that you think F1 is a parade? You've got NASCAR where they're like, we're going too fast, so we have to put restrictor plates in the car so we can't go too fast. Oh, no. These dudes in F1 have things they can open up on their cars to go even faster. And then they've got the ERS. They can go even faster then. Don't tell me that. People actually die racing in Formula One. What happens here? Like Tony Stewart shoves you to the ground and like, oh no, they fought. I mean, like old school NASCAR, you had like Fireball Roberts and those dudes like swinging it out on each other and like Dale Earnhardt going at it. Okay, great. But to tell me that, like I don't even know who the hell runs NASCAR anymore. Who's in it? It's not good. Come on now. They all have the same car too. It's spec racing basically in NASCAR. Come on. Don't sit here and tell me that NASCAR's got it good. So, I see a lot of F1. I have a feeling you guys are going to be talking some mad shit when I roll through these comments. The job well done says NASCAR fans are everywhere. Aaron says F1 for the win. Yep. A name of some sort says NASCAR and F1 yawn. IndyCar, yeah. IndyCar is awful. IndyCar is so boring. Jim is saying it must have been a private plane. Yeah, it could be, but remember, and people hear you'll hear people talk about this all the time. People get stuff through TSA all the time unintentionally. For example, down in Florida, where my parents live, there was a shelf for a couple of years where this backpack I would take down every Christmas with my carry-on with just a little couple of clothes in it because I watch my clothes at their house. Well, I'd use it generally week before for gun season here in Ohio. I there's a there are like 2 boxes worth of like 20 gauge shotgun slugs sitting there because more than 1 year I got those out. Got them on the plane, got home, got to my parents' house, unpacked and found things. There's I brought like a 5-inch knife on a plane before. I've brought all kinds of crap you're not supposed to bring on a plane before. Uh oh. West Eli says, "Hey, if Ethan Ralph moved to Mexico, that will help both countries." He did. Ethan Ralph is a is a resident is a a legal resident of Mexico now. And I just said he acted like Ethan Ralph because he did something really fucking stupid. Yes, I'm sure Ralph's A-logs tried to frame Kyle Busch. Um, Porcelain Thunder says F1 haven't watched it in years. I got a job and couldn't stay up. ESPN does show them. They'll do the reruns at decent times now. Bob Johnson says, "Do you watch the Future Conflicts channel? They cover a lot of world issues." Yes, I do. Future Conflicts is a great channel. In fact, we'll just bring them up real quick. If you guys haven't seen them, actually, we'll bring this up in a second here. We'll bring this up in a second, Bob. We'll start your comment. We'll get to it. Oh, because I'm Batman. Dude, I don't want to ban you. I don't want to ban you. Besides, you can't use that joke because Jeremy Clarkson loves F1. F1 season starting. Oh no. Anyways. Toto Vader says they could have traded him for a drug dealer. Oh. Dan Saturday says Mars bar is not like the planet Mars. I must have missed that. This is who we are. Yeah, we'll get to that. I'm actually probably going to get to that at another point. Turkina Meyer, thanks $5 for the super chat. Says Lewis Hamilton is not forked enough to carry a gun with him internationally. LOL. Yeah, well, he's got bigger problems. He's got to learn how to drive again and have to fight. Otherwise, Max is going to eat his fucking lunch again. So I hope Valtteri does pretty good this year too. That would just make my day. Jabal Dunn says, I have a 500,000 peso note somewhere. It's like $3 before they redid the currency. Oh, okay. Yeah. Gene Williams says the judge has a GoFundMe account. Crystal Hart says, why couldn't have been Bubba Wallace? Yeah. That somebody says this is all Sergio Perez's fault. Why you got to bring Checo into this? He's a good boy. Checo's a good boy. I hope he wins more this year. He deserves it. Zero Fuck says Kyle Griner. Oh, that's funny. That is funny. Tarkina again for $5 says, thank you, by the way. I had a friend who got in trouble in India because he had a spent casing, not a bullet, just a casing in the bottom of his backpack. That is a very common thing. I've heard before stories of people traveling and actually have like a gun magazine in the bottom of their backpack or in their luggage and it gets spotted. So yes, it's a very big deal. If you guys are leaving the country, you should make sure you don't have contraband. That includes guns, that includes knives, pepper spray, mace, tasers, or just, drugs. If you smoke weed, be very careful. Check your stuff. Just the tip says it's the Dave Chappelle white man defense of, I did not know I could do that, officer. Robert Lord says he got free season passes for the race. Well, no, he probably got free tickets to the race in Mexico City. Oh, Darcy says President's Weekend. I forgot about that. Wait, do I? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I forgot it's President's Weekend. Yeah, Super Bowl Sunday. Yeah, you can't do it. I forgot. Yeah, that wouldn't work. Okay, now we got a lot of F1s showing up here. You guys are better than I thought. I thought I was gonna have to cull the herd here and ban a bunch of people. Ketten of Days says, did I talk about the boom boom choo choo? No, that's gonna be a separate video where the reporter gets arrested. Let's see here. Parallax says, let me tell you about all the shit I've smuggled onto planes. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I was gonna say we'll talk about it later. Holy cow, you guys are like just chugging along here. Isaac Baruch's wholesome, just the most wholesome Gabagool art, $5. Thank you, by the way. Hey Sean, love you, man, in a super straight way. That's okay. Hey, it's 2023 too. If you wanna, I just won't reciprocate. What's your next Ricada Friday Rumble mind break gonna be? Or partial to Ruby Ridge or the Finders? I'm not sure yet. Not sure. You got to figure out something. Got to figure out something to squeeze in there. And oh, by the way, I think I might be going on with him tonight because he was switching up when he does his Friday because he's not going to be in town tomorrow. So I will probably be on with him tonight if he sends me a link. I told him I was available. Oh fuck! I'm Black Irish. Jeez. Okay, we're gonna move on from there. All right. Okay, so you guys got your NASCAR fill. All right, we got the NASCAR part done. Just like it's like in The Postman when he's trying to show the sounds of music and everybody wants to watch Universal Soldier. I'm like that guy in the Quarry movie pit. We're gonna talk about the real stuff now. Talking about the real stuff. This is real talk. Okay, real quick, Porcelain. I agree. I miss Kimi Räikkönen and his awesome interviews. All right. Winter Soldier says The Postman. I'm a boomer. Hey, you know what? The movie's actually not bad. It's not bad. So, yes, it sounds like getting to the real issue. The U.S. government probably committed war crimes. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are saying, well, we already have done that a lot. And I don't disagree, especially when we, vaporized the whole family in Kabul because we thought they were terrorists. Not being the most recent, obviously, but getting to what happened with the Nordstream pipeline. Because I know we talked about that. Well, I guess we can say, oopsie poopsie. And how do we know this? Well, it has been leaked and it's been revealed by Seymour Hersh. If you're not aware who Seymour Hersh is, he is a Pulitzer-winning reporter. He actually broke Abu Ghraib and a couple of things that have happened since Abu Ghraib. He's pretty credible. If you guys don't remember the Nord Stream pipeline, also here, this is Seymour Hersh in all his glory. So if you guys don't remember, this was the pipeline in the Baltic Sea that miraculously exploded in the middle of Russia playing its game of strangling natural gas supplies to Europe as a result of sanctions being imposed and that game that was being played as the Russians continued and made a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Obviously, they'd been there since 2014, but this was when they were playing for reals almost a year ago. Well, back in September, Well, the pipeline exploded. And the pipeline exploded in a very weird way. So, according to him, this was destroyed last September. And going back, and also I forgot to mention this, Hirsch actually exposed the My Lai massacre. So I mean, he's been around for a while. This dude has experienced and exposed some primo stuff. That there was an exercise being conducted earlier in the year. It was called Balt Ops 22, Baltic Operations 2022. It was being done in the Baltic Sea, and there was a Marine amphibious group in the Baltics that went over that area. And the allegation is that some Navy divers who, or some of them, this is not a skill set everybody can have, dove down to the bottom, planted delayed charges, came back up, and then months later, they went off. So they destroyed the entire Nordstream pipeline system, completely ruined. And obviously, the government's denying that, but there is a lot of information. If you go to Seymour Hersh's Substack, I don't think it's fair for me just to run all of it out there. Yeah, it's not good. It is not very good at all. And why do I think I just mentioned? Why do I think it's clear that we did it and not anybody else? Now, I will say for the record, my money was on MI6 and the British government doing this. Apparently, I was wrong. But why do I not think it was the Russians? Because if we thought it was the Russians or they had proof or had fabricated proof the Russians had done it, they'd have been like, look, see, we found a vodka bottle at the bottom, right next to the bomb. They haven't offered any proof the Russians have done it. It blew up and everybody just kept their mouths shut, which that makes no sense at all. There was no investigation. They haven't announced anything. Well, that tells you a lot. That tells you a lot. And yeah, this is a problem because this is pretty serious. Because now this is the U.S. government undertaking combat operations and expanding the theater of the war outside of Ukraine and along the Russian border. We're now into the Baltic Ocean, blowing up things that are not only owned by the Russian government and their subsidiaries, but are owned by Western companies and could be considered almost an attack on NATO at this point. You're in the middle of the Baltic, you're in international waters, and you're doing this and you're causing these problems. This ain't good. This ain't good. So, yeah, it's just not good. It's just not good here at all. Now, obviously, yes, all the people involved are saying that a former CIA spokesperson, well, they're quoting a CIA spokesperson saying this claim is completely and utterly false, which means it's probably true if the CIA is lying to you. And yes, this is what all the natural gas and air leaving the pipeline looked like when it was blown up. Hirsch, has also made allegations that the U.S. government didn't kill Bin Laden the way we were told. Who knows? Maybe that's true or not. I think that one's probably the jury's still out on that one. So that will be interesting. Russell Wallace is saying it's not the Norway USA stuff. Yeah. Bob Johnson says they used a non-special forces unit to go around the Senate Intel Committee. And that's something he points out. They went with the Navy diving and salvage team. Supposedly because that does get them around Senate Intel rules and the Armed Forces Committee. Because if they're going down as just Navy divers, like scavengers, like if you've seen Men of Honor, oh God, I'm sorry, guys. I left this. That was big for you to read. That is kind of what they thought was going to happen there. Porcelain Funder says Baldo Ops 22. No. Wicked Money says the pipeline needed freedom. Well, it got a shitload of freedom. It definitely got a lot of freedom there. Oh. Yes. Yes, Jim is saying they commit war crimes every goddamn day. I know they do. I know they do. Oh. Oh, where was this joke? I had gotta read this. From Porcelain Thunder. The diver was from the Vatican Swiss Guard. He was a holy diver. Oh, God. Sometimes you guys are brutal. Sometimes you guys are just like the worst of dad jokes. And I don't know what I'm going to get depending on the night. So I guess that's the, the joie de vie, I guess, we get out of this. Wondering what happens. Tarkina is saying the riskiest would have been blowing it up on land where it could easily be repaired and not the bottom of the Baltic. Yeah, but also if you blew it up on land, you're blowing it up in Russia or in a NATO member's land. So this is kind of like the most plausibly deniable way to do it. So Paul Harley says they used a P-8. Yes, P-8 is a U.S. Navy maritime surveillance plane that dropped a sonar buoy, and when the sonar buoy went off, it triggered the bombs. And that is, at least now I'm not telling the whole story on the Substack. You guys are kind of leaking parts of it. I don't feel as bad. Bifront says, who benefited from the pipeline being blown up? Well, it certainly wasn't the Russian government. So, draw your own conclusions. Okay, Marm says, come. Come. Biochemist says, you're going to come. I'm not going to come. Don't come. Oh. I'm not reading this. You can read it on your own. Oh, Jesus. God help me. NL says, why blow up their own infrastructure? Once again, yes. Doesn't make any sense. Hunch the Dirty Roof for $5. Thank you. Appreciate it. Says, the Ruskies wouldn't need to blow up anything. They could just turn the spigot off. And they already had done that. Now, why do I bring all this up? Well, just like we talked about, well, actually, a couple weeks from sometime in March, we talked about it because the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in Ukraine was under attack by the Russians and the Ukrainians were defending it. Well, that brought up the idea of, well, was that a war crime or not? I know we touched about it during the thing. Well, there is a Geneva Protocols that the U.S. has signed, and this is Protocol 1, contains Article 56, protection of works and installations containing dangerous forces. So what are those? Well, they're containing dangerous forces, okay? Well, namely dams, dikes, not those kind, nuclear generating stations, and shall not be made the object of attack, even where these are military objectives. It's such an attack may cause a release of dangerous forces and consequently severe losses among the civilian population. Well, I don't know. A dangerous force? Pipeline sounds pretty bad. You're going to detonate a pipeline underwater? You're going to harm the environment. It's almost like you could call that like if we were to bomb a pipeline. Like if I were to take, if I were to rent a Ryder truck and, moving my fertilizer around, I accidentally parked it next to a pipeline and it happened to go off. Because somebody's just smoking and being haphazard, with a big pile of linseed oil soaked rags sitting next to it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the government would say that's ecological terrorism. So, pretty sure this is ecological terrorism as well. Just saying. Just saying. So, that somebody says 6 million cubic feet of natural gas was lost. Yes. Yep. Russell says, yes, Article 99 still exists. Yes, it does too. Oh. Jim is saying the Ukrainians are also using chemical weapons and executing prisoners. That's one I'm going to wait on because with a little more confirmation, that's a whole separate issue because if the Ukrainians really are bombing Russian soldiers from their drones using hydrogen sulfide and hydrogen cyanide under the OPCW, the treaty to prohibit the use of chemical weapons, Russia has the right to call on the rest of the world to come assist them in dealing with the Ukrainian problem, which is hilarious because nobody's going to come to Russia's aid, which shows the treaty's bullshit. Separate issue. But yes, that's one I'm hoping to get a little more investigation done on. Oh. I'm not reading that one. Goalie 171 says people were cheering it on via Twitter as well. It was pretty sick. Yeah. Once again, guys, this is woohoo, slimy ukulele. We're sticking it to Russia. Well, sounds like somebody committed a war crime, which, yeah. Not good. Not good at all. Okay, so where are we? Oh, somebody wanted to bring up Future Conflicts. Yes, Future Conflicts is a great channel on YouTube. They cover all this kind of stuff. Of course, the fun saying it's fun trying to discuss. I'm not worried about getting disgusted. I'm worried about getting struck. That's the issue here. Okay, don't act like you can discuss me. You have no idea how low how low my bar can go and the threshold I can have. So I got I got more push than you got time. Is how I'd phrase that. So no, it's nothing. It's nothing about me. But anyways, this is Future Conflicts. It's a great channel. They cover all kinds of stuff that's going on. They do lives every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, starting at 1. And yes, the reason why somebody asked about it is, well, I mean, if you go to the one that happened this, I don't know,
trying to take out its own pipeline for whatever reason. No, absolutely. And if you want to put a little more money,
here we go. Personalities. Pretty sure you see somebody here you recognize. So, just so you know, yes, I appreciate it. Scott, Stan, Joe, Pat, Watcher, they're all great guys. They all have great information. I learned far more from sitting there with them. Hunch, I'm actually going to get to yours. Don't worry. I have that for later. And I'll get to it in a second. These guys are great. They're very knowledgeable. I feel like an idiot when I'm sitting there talking. But it's interesting stuff. Interesting stuff from these guys if you get the chance. And if you listen to them, they're great, especially if you want to go back to the beginning, listen to some of the beginning Ukraine stuff. Very good. But in the meantime, they're phenomenal. Phenomenal to listen to. Hunch, I'll hit this one up right now. I just was trying to find the right time for it. You got a new Pew Pew coming in tomorrow. A Canik Signature Series Miami Night. Super stoked. Figure you can appreciate just quality craftsmanship. I don't think I've ever... Does it come like... Okay, I was hoping this... Okay, that sounds pretty gnarly. It's got like the Miami Vice vibe on it. I like that. I like that a lot. So, by the way, thank you for the super chat. Bob, that's why when you brought up, do you watch Future Conflicts? Yes, I watch it sometimes. Sometimes I'm on it. And this is who we are in the U.S. You mentioned this earlier. There's a video of the Ukrainian soldier, the Ukrainians using chemical weapons. It's not been confirmed, but it very much looks like chemical weapons. So I'm waiting to hold off on that till I can talk about it. So that's kind of there. J-Rock says, no Russian ever called me a Nazi. Let's see. Sean is the V2 problem. No, yes. Sean is in the sausage fiesta. Oh, yes. Sean knows how the sausage is made. Yes, I do know. I do know. Ron Borkin says, yes, it's only a war crime when the other side does it. Yes. And as I mentioned before, it's only a war crime if you lose. Oh, I'm not saying that. Yes, my humor is very dark. I'm not. We're not doing that. Can't have YouTube come after me. Stormcrow says Canik is a Turk gun. Yeah, Turks make pretty good guns. I mean, heck, they are good enough that HK gave them license to make guns, HK guns. So that's not an easy license to get. Harris Riley saying the claim that us, the Russians or Chinese, don't possess significant chemical weapon stockpiles and the millions of deliveries is a fucking lie. Any of us would retaliate. Yes, we would. And I think if it could get proven that it happened, the Russians are going to slime some Ukrainian groups somewhere. And those holes will not be holing very much at all when they get hit. So, John is saying, what the fuck, future conflict? We just did that. So, J Rock says, do you watch the Duran? Yes, I do. I watch the Duran quite a bit. I like their views on things. They had what's the guy's name? Colonel Ritter on a couple like last week. Very, very good breakdown of how peace could be still sought at this point in the conflict. Yes, but they do very, very good stuff. Ran into them when Barnes was talking about them actually a year and a half ago, maybe. But since then, yeah, they've been phenomenal to listen to. Interview E. Michael Jones. Oh. John is saying, and I think your humor is a little dark. If only they knew you 50. Yes, yeah. Well, it's gotten more refined with knowledge, but yes, it's better. Patty Leather saying tactical wisdom accused E. Michael Jones of advocating genocide because he's critical of the Jews. Yeah, I don't try to get in the internet slap fights, guys. You probably have realized that by now. Now, if I'm going to make them one of my own drama fights, sure, but I try to stay out of other people's problems. Patty says the Duran are anti-American scum. They're Putin bots. Well, I mean, at this point, you're kind of like a lot of people are either, they're licking Putin's balls or they're licking Zelensky's balls. I mean, that's really what it's coming down to. A job well done says Sean doesn't want his own farms thread. I'd prefer not. I'd prefer not. I mean, unless they're going to be like, oh my God, he's amazing. But that's not usually how that goes on the farms. So, all right. Now we're going to move on from there. So there is a new case that's come out in the Boston area, and this one is fucking crazy. This one's weird. I'm very interested to see how this one goes. This kind of got Lori Daybell Vallow vibes going. So Lindsay Clancy's accused of murdering her 3 children. On January 24th, she took one of her kids to the pediatrician. Okay. The kids were then seen later that day. They built a snowman, and the kids were building a snowman. People saw the pictures. Everything was fine. And then later that day, using exercise bands, she strangled her 3 children, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and an 8-month-old. So, yeah. And then during the arraignment, she was in a hospital bed with a neck brace on because she jumped out the window and tried to kill herself out of their 2nd-story window. Yeah, this one's super. Yeah, and this is her now. This is her. This is Lindsay Clancy. She tried to kill herself by jumping out the window and suffered a spinal injury, left her paralyzed. Which, if she did do this, that's, well, I guess you get what you get. Uh, so yeah. Anyway, there's a entire issue that's going on here. I have not seen the court documents, but apparently she went ahead and searched for kids' Miralax on her phone. She searched for a couple of different things here. She asked if a pharmacy had kids' Miralax. At some point, she's still talking with her husband about getting get the Mediterranean Power Bowl. That just sounds like some kind of version of PCP. I want the Mediterranean Power Bowl. Get me a gram of that. Um, and it just shows, like, look how fast this timeline goes from 5:06. Okay, she's out running, and at that point, her cell phone's not answering. And then by 6 o'clock, when the husband gets home, there's silence, and he looks around and he can't find anything. He sees blood on the floor and opens the door, and she was on the ground with cuts to her wrist and neck, and he called 911. So yeah, this one's going to be interesting. I wonder how this plays out. Certainly, I think it's somebody sent it to me, and by somebody, my producer, the lovely future Mrs. Martin 2.0. And I think this is kind of a neat one to get ahead of and see what happens. Mark Pugner says Miralax is stool softener. Yeah. Bass says the Mediterranean Power Bowl is a lottery. Oh. Oh my god. Zero Fuck says she Eric Clapton's daughter. Oof. Oh no. Mr. Case's second story, not a bright one. Yeah. Pike says Clancy's like Andrea Yates. Yes. Yep. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. So, Wicked Money says, "Do you want to build a snowman? Do you want an exercise band?" Oh. Just the tip says, "You want to build a snowman?" Oh, who's Dagon says, "Thanks, Sean. I needed this." Hey, happy to cheer up your weekend. Oh. Toothless says, "Silence in a house with a woman and 3 kids in it is sus." Yes. Yes, very much. Charles Watts says, "Was her financial fraud about to be unchecked?" Yes, she was stealing from all the partners in her law firm, so she killed her kids. Winter Soldier says, "High intensity interval training on laxatives till you lose the weight." That just sounds messy. That sounds messy, but hey, maybe it works. That's not weight loss advice. Oh. Let's see here. Brenico says, "And then the paralysis should buy her another 30 days." Yes. Oh. J Rock says, "So uplifting. Tell us about Auschwitz next." Oh. Rabbit Stick says it's called an abortion. It's a very late term one, especially with a 5-year-old. Bass says, would it be a war crime to drop that lady from a drone onto an enemy? Yeah, that'll be interesting to see what happens from there. Okay, where are we? Real quick, this is just an update from some of the stuff that's going on in the Memphis police murder case. Apparently, this came out in the issues that was released that one of the Memphis officers took pictures of Tyre Nichols as he was laying there beaten and dying. So one of the officers did that, shared the image with 5 people, including a girlfriend, in violation of police policy. Like, yeah, you're not allowed to do that stuff. You're not allowed to go run around taking pictures of people and then pushing it everywhere. And that happened according to a police review board. Now, that's important because this may not be admissible at trial. The way things work in the world are you have what's called, they're called Garrity protections. And I think it's New Jersey v. Garrity is where it came from. Anyway, he was a cop that was involved in an internal affairs investigation. And he was told, if you don't tell us what's going on, sure, you have a Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, but we will fire you if you don't cooperate. So he cooperated, and then the police turned everything over to the prosecutor, and they used all the statements against him. Apparently, because you're cops, you get special protection. Yes, because, notice I said if you're only the police, not if you happen to work at a company and the company says if you don't cooperate, we'll fire you. Well, if you spill the beans there, you're fucked. But if you're a policeman, you get special protection. And your Garrity rights can be asserted, meaning whatever you say there cannot be used against you for the purpose of a conviction. Now, if they have independent evidence, you're screwed. But you get Garrity protections. Once again, I'm sure you're all thinking, well, wow, I wish I could get those. Yeah. Yep. I'm sure we all wish we could. So the police said there was a report to a review board and that the officer violated a ban on sharing information to unauthorized recipients without approval. Okay, 7 more Memphis cops are expected to face formal disciplinary charges this week. Well, I'm sure that there's going to be some formal disciplinary charges. Very severe. Probably a lot of training. So one of the officers who got fired, and this is part of his discipline form when he was fired, he said, on your cell phone, you took 2 photographs while standing in front of the obviously injured suspect who's handcuffed. In your Garrity statement, once again, this is the one where he can say whatever he wants. And those statements are not eligible to be used against him. So yes, there are times where if they have no other evidence, you spill the beans, great. Now, if you don't spill the beans or you lie about it and you don't tell them about it, they can use that information against you later. So yes, cops have used Garrity to save their ass. They admitted he shared a text that the photo with 5 people, including a civilian employee, 2 other officers, and a girlfriend. Okay, well, and they said, "Yep, well, you're fired, bro. You're not coming back." Which good thing for them. So we'll find out more and more. But yeah, this reeks of macabre trophy hunting and these cops acting like general scumbags. Yes, the timeout in the corner. Base says they'll give him in-house training. Yes, just like in the Murdaugh case. Everybody's got in-house training. Nobody can fail it. Porcelain. Oh, okay. Yeah, believe you. Oh. Fuck says, did he take a selfie? I don't know if he did. I don't know if he took a selfie. But he took a picture, and that's not clear. It says it was in front of him with a picture, so I don't know. Dagon says if those cops are white, there would be riots. Yeah, probably. I mean, let's be honest. Patty Letter says, God bless the United States of America. Get wrecked, commies. I can always get behind that message. Internal affairs, TN says internal affairs is BS. Yeah. Zero Fuck says the bean spilling privilege. Yes. Yes. Stabby says, wasn't there a claim that some of these cops were vice lords? Could the pics have been for proof of the hit? I've heard all that stuff that some of these cops are involved with the vice lords, which is a gang, and that he was involved, like he was screwing around with one of their, ex-girlfriends, or it's the other way. I and that just seems like that's taken out of a movie script. That seems just too. I don't buy it. I mean, it could, and I'm willing to be wrong at the end of the day. What I really think happened? These guys are a thug squad, and they, take street taxes out on people all the time, and they finally ran into a guy who was a good guy, and they harassed him and fucked with him, and he fucked back long enough and realized, hey, a bunch of, some random black guys wearing clothes that aren't identifiable and unmarked cars coming at me with guns. I don't want to play this game no more. So we'll see what happens. I think it's probably more likely that than this being some sort of vice lord shot collar gang thing. It's good writing, good narrative, good plot. I just don't see it happening, but I'm willing to be wrong, because if it is, that's absolutely crazy and a hell of a story. Capisi says, let's talk about lawyers and absolute immunity next. That's a separate issue. Just the tip says, God, I want to be fired so bad. Oh. President-elect Four Doors More Horse says, this is in line with the claims they beat him to death for fucking one of their wives. Maybe. I mean, I assume guys who are like this are depraved pieces of shit. They probably take pictures, and they probably like assholes and morons. They document their crimes because they're compulsive. Much because they're impulsive, not compulsive, because they're impulsive. So I just think that's more of it. Walter Malone says, low key, I went in that group chat. Yes. Like, how do I get into that one? Oh. Charles Forrest says, after they take the training, they'll get a promotion because then they're among the most highly trained of the officers. Yes. And the system will just keep rolling. Mickey Lynn for $9.99. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Cheers to being potentially criminal. Well, thank you. Allegan News says, am I going to Vegas for Nick's meetup? No. I don't. I've got stuff scheduled. I can't get around. I've got a hearing on that Monday that's not getting moved. I got stuff that week I got to be ready for, so I can't. I need that weekend. So no, I am not able to go. If it was farther out, probably, but just for now, no, I can't go. Walter Malone says those cops had to have known him. Maybe. I like I said, I don't know, and I'm willing to be wrong, but I just, when you read about like the Rampart Division, they did stuff dealing with gang members, but these cops, corrupt cops taking out street taxes on people. I mean, that happens all the time. Not all the time, but I mean, it's not uncommon, especially when you have like these special created strike units. So, Krusty Moko says the Vice Lords are originally from Chicago. I didn't know they're from Chicago. I know Latin Kings are from Chicago, but let's see here. Patty Letter says be Catholic. Nothing wrong with that one. Patty Leather says I only travel for Pokemon conventions. Who told you? That means you go to him if you know I'm there. Self-report. Diamonds and Henna says, are you going to stream the trial tomorrow? No, I am. I got work. I'm doing for most of the day. So no. Let me see here. J-Rock says Atlanta had the same crap with their Red Dog unit. They shot up an old lady by mistake. Yes, they did. And it took a long time for those guys to go to prison. But yes, they shot up an old lady and they almost got her framed for it. So that somebody says, show us your best gang signs. No. Oh. Winter Soldier says, I cosplay Snorlax. It's one of the better, it's one of the least gay Pokemon, so yeah, why not? Goalie says Training Day was a documentary. Yes. Throw up the blood signs. I am not throwing up king signs tonight. Get me drunk and I'll probably do that. All right. So moving on. So good news in Oklahoma. If you like weed and you like guns, well, in part of Oklahoma, that's good for you now. And why do we know that? Well, oh God, I hate it when it does this. Yeah, we're going to not do this in the shitty window. We're going to do this in the better window. Okay, so yes, if you are in the Western District of Oklahoma, which is very important to know where it exactly you are in, this is what's going on right now. So Jared Harrison filed a motion to dismiss, and why? Well, he was charged with violating 18 U.S.C. 922 G3, and he's claiming it was unconstitutionally vague, violates due process clause, and infringed upon his right to possess a firearm in violation of the Second Amendment. And for the reasons below, his motion was granted. So Jared was pulled over by an officer in Lawton, Oklahoma for failing to stop at a red light. Okay. When he rolled down his window, the officer smelled marijuana and asked him about it. They told him he was on his way to work at a medical marijuana dispensary, but he didn't have a medical marijuana card. You guys can already see where this is going. So when he was stepped out of the car, he found out he was wearing an ankle monitor. And then he said, I'm on probation in Texas for aggravated assault. Okay. And there's, it turns out, head note number 1. And I love it when the courts do this. They said, it turns out that wasn't completely accurate. Harrison was out on bond pending trial in Texas for aggravated assault. Harrison and another man are alleged was shot into a crowd at a college party, seriously wounding at least one person. It is not clear from the available records whether any conditions of release were imposed. I'm pretty sure not leaving the state of Texas is probably one of the terms of pretrial release. Oh. Well, they searched him. They didn't find any contraband. They did a field sobriety test. They didn't conduct that. They didn't request a blood test. So they didn't determine if he was driving under the influence. That said, though, when the officer showed up to search his car, they found a loaded gun on the floorboards, 2 prescription bottles in his door, and one containing partially smoked marijuana cigarettes. They found THC gummies, and they found THC vapes, and pre-rolled marijuana cigarettes and marijuana stems in a tray. Okay. All right. Time. Real talk here. Real talk. Like red table talk. Real talk. If you're on pretrial release, don't fucking do this. Please. Don't. Like, no. It's one thing, okay, you're doing drugs right on pretrial release. Okay. It's one thing to leave the state while you're on pretrial release. Okay. Doesn't want to go running around with a gun around pretrial release after you're alleged to have been shooting at people. Just don't leave the state with a gun and a ton of drugs. I mean, oh God. Come on now. Come on now. But we'll keep going. We will keep going here. So he's arrested at that scene. He was charged with possession of marijuana and failed to obey a traffic signal. Okay. Well, he wasn't charged with a gun because you can carry a firearm like that in Oklahoma. Well, on August 17th, and this is what day? 3 months later, he got indicted by the federal grand jury for possessing a firearm with knowledge he was an unlawful user of marijuana, which is something you're not allowed to do. You are not allowed to be drug dependent and possess firearms. Hunter Biden, take note. Although, nothing's going to happen to him. We've already talked about that. So even with just a little bit of weed, he's violating federal law. Well, he argues that there should be reasons why that doesn't go through. Primarily relying on Bruin. Okay, cool. Well, and this is an interesting take on their argument. And I thought this is as far as I got before we got on tonight. Neither the text nor history and tradition support the notion that only law-abiding individuals are part of the people protected by the Second Amendment. And Bruin may not require the government to identify a historical twin for the marijuana prohibition. Users of illicit substances possessing guns is nothing new. The government, and they must identify distinctly similar laws in the tradition. And this it cannot do, says Harrison. And that's true. They can't do it. The government argues it only protects law-abiding citizens. Well, we'll see. And then we'll see what the court says. Okay. Many people are at least vaguely... And here's what the court says. Most people can't possess a firearm if they're a convicted felon. Okay. But 18 U.S.C. 922 contains many lesser-known provisions. Okay. In those include, have you been dishonorably discharged? Have you renounced your citizenship? Are you a fugitive? Are you under indictment? Have you been convicted of a domestic violence offense events involving violence of a family member, even if it's a misdemeanor? Have you been subject to a restraining order where you've had the opportunity to have a court hearing and due process? Have you been mentally committed? Those are all things you're not allowed to possess a firearm. Okay, well, they bring up the issue about, controlled substances. And they bring up that it's rarely used. It only accounts for 5% of the prosecutions brought under 18 U.S.C. 922. That's interesting. Didn't know that. I'm surprised it's not more, actually, knowing how the government does stuff. 922 G3 doesn't have deep roots. Well, all of 922 G doesn't have deep roots because they were all part of the Gun Control Act of 1968. The only difference is with the protection and restraining orders and the domestic violence part, and those were from the Lautenberg amendments in 1994 or 5. So they talk about it here. Thus, in its modern form, it strips a person of their fundamental right to possess a firearm the instant the person becomes an unlawful user of marijuana. And in the United States view, all users of marijuana are unlawful users. You're all dirty, dirty dopers. Okay, well, then he goes through Bruin and he does his analysis there. And they, we've already talked about Bruin a million times here. We're going to just get through it all. We're just going to skip ahead to where they actually talk about here, and this is interesting. The Supreme Court said the people unambiguously refers to all members of the political community, not just a subset. All persons of a national community who have otherwise developed sufficient connection with this country are part of that community. Okay. He is a United States citizen. Harrison would be part of the people here. And the United States argues that while marijuana users are lawbreakers and lawbreakers aren't part of the people, they said that's clearly not what it's meant to be. So the judge is supporting it. So basically, if you live out there, for now, this is the law of the land in Western Oklahoma. So and they bring up, we've never kept drunks and mentally ill people traditionally. It's community may have done something, but there wasn't anything to stop cowboys who are addicted to opium from running around carrying guns. Like if you watch Tombstone, that happened all the time. um, and obviously he goes on for 54 pages, but this guy's charges got dismissed, so good on him, and they're done. They can't come back. Uh, Charles Watts says, "Can I get a copyright strike for gang signs?" No. Try Golfer says, "Has any of your clients asked you to join their gang?" No, no. Not sure I'd want to join their gang anyway. I'm not big on I'm not big on groups, so that would be an issue to start with. What kind of gas filing uses right prens to separate the case number? I mean, is it really? I mean, that's a normal way of doing it. I'm a fan more of using the drawing a line function in Word and doing that, but hey, people are allowed to do it as they're allowed to. No harm there. Dame Dystopia subscribed on the hubby's count so I can watch on the bedroom TV. Shh, don't tell. Well, thank you very much for the subscription. Paul Harley says he was indicted by a federal grand jury. J-Rock says, "Oh no, the weed." Yes. Because I'm Batman says the devil's lettuce. I prefer hippie cabbage, but yes, the devil's lettuce. I'm not reading that one. That's a bad dad joke. Boo. Winter Soldier says all this conduct's legal during the Red River Showdown. Okay. Tarkina says, but, no legal advice, Sean. Oh. Porcelain Thunder says, "Doesn't that get you more billing hours?" It does, but the more things you do, the less likely you are going to be able to pay. So, got to try to work out the balance there. The Amateur Iconoclast says, "He crossed state lines. Oh no." Stabby says, "You're not my real dad." Oh, jeez. McKillen says, "I was wearing my ankle monitor, Your Honor." Oh. Jason McConnell for 100 Canadian pesos. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hyperventilation beats the breathalyzer. They test you twice, keep hyperventilating, it works. Better yet, don't drink and drive and be an asshole. Yes, the second part is 100% true. Don't drink and drive. As far as the hyperventilating thing working, I cannot confirm that. There's all kinds of stories of things that work, don't work. The easiest way to avoid getting breathalyzed is by not drinking and driving, though. So, thank you very much, Jason. I do appreciate that. And I hope you didn't have to learn from experience about the hyperventilating, especially up in Canada, because a DUI in Canada is considered a felony. And if you guys aren't aware of that, if you have a DUI here in America, that can bar you from entering into Canada. It's a very common issue. Bass says Chili gives a good review of these cases. You almost got me. You almost got me. Too bad, Troll. I'm not falling for it tonight. I'm not biting on that bait. So Charles Watts says, "You mean all those questions they ask when you want to buy a gun are legit?" Yes. Oh. Stabby says, "Unfortunately, I don't think this case is going to set a precedent." Well, the DOJ is not going to appeal it. They're going to let this one go. Why? Because they will lose if it gets appealed. So they're going to have to just let it go. They're going to just count their losses and move on. Petty Leather says all gun laws are infringements. Yes, they are. And most gun laws are also racist. Bob Johnson says refuse that shit. I mean, if you can refuse, yes, it's always better to refuse. Jim says the same rationale should apply to all prohibited persons. I think eventually it's going to. Because typically a felony back in the time of the founding through most of the 19th century, if you committed a felony, you were executed for it. There were very few felonies. So I think becoming a felon is generally going to go away. I think the dishonorable discharge part's going to go away. If you've renounced your citizenship, I don't think that'll go away, because if you do claim you're no longer a subject of that nation, you don't enjoy all the protections and rights to an extent. So I think that one probably will survive. It's not easy though to renounce your citizenship. Actually, there are steps you can do it, but it takes a little bit of work. So Eric V says, "Is it lawful law though?" Yes. Well, if you have the right jurisdiction, it's lawful law. So gotta find that jurisdiction first. It's got to be tacit or tacket jurisdiction. Jason again for another 100 Canadian pesos. Thank you. It's a lot of loonies. 100 loonies or 50 toonies. Thank you though very much. 3 police tests in Canada and 1 U.S. customs test. Went to med school. The only thing I learned was the hyperventilation is the best trick. I no longer drink, but yep, it worked every time. Well, guys, maybe if you end up facing a breathalyzer, Toxalizer 8000 or whatever it is using somewhere, give it a shot. I mean, I still think your best bet is to refuse, but if you feel like taking a chance, there you go. I cannot tell you that'll work. I make no guarantees. Walter Malone says Chili did a video on Mims v. Pennsylvania. We should get on Civil Drunk and review it. You know what? I saw that. I didn't watch it, but you know what? That is a brilliant fucking idea. Brilliant idea. I'm going to work on that with him. We'll both have to get rip roaring drunk. Didn't I say I would do 8 shots tonight? Oh. Yes, Miss Dinga Dinga is correct. Always say no to everything. Eric V says, Lost Self Bronca got a shout out today on Donut Operator. Cool. That's good to hear. I'll have to look through that. Dagon 3 says, yes, sir, why are you breathing like that? Why are you breathing like a dog? Oh. That's a shame for $9.99. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. You'll be proud I won my first motion to suppress a few weeks ago. Client had unfinished receivers and lowers. Cops called them firearms with obliterated serial numbers on the search warrant application. I knew nothing about guns before. Hey, awesome. That is righteous. That's righteous news. That's good stuff. Yeah, and here's the thing: most cops don't know anything about guns, so they look at an unfinished receiver. Oh, fuck it, an unfinished receiver, unmarked. That's not a firearm yet. It's an 80%. Actually, that should work. Hey, technically, YouTube, it's not a gun yet. It's an 80%, so you can't get me. Neener. But yes, most cops don't realize the rules about firearms. I mean, I was in court today, and I was interacting with a judge, and she hadn't really heard about Bruin or really what Bruin was talking about. And then I pointed out, if you go back to the beginning of the founding of the country, the rules for guns were the only rules were if you're white, you have to own a gun to be in the militia, and then no blacks and no Indians. Those are the only two people not allowed to own guns. And she's like, "Oh, when you say it like that, yeah, that does sound like those were pretty much the only rules." She wasn't going to dismiss my felon under disability, felon possessing a gun case, but that'll get dealt with in another day. Diamonds and Henna says, "Do you sell a Lawful Law shirt?" No, but I am working on some other merchandise though, so there'll be some stuff coming out soon. Tarkina Meyer says it's not going to be a blood test. That's right, but they're not always going to get one. So, yeah. But really, just going back to this, that's a shame. Congratulations. Hopefully, it's the first of many, but also sadly, there's going to be a bunch of them where you're like, this should be a slam dunk, and you're going to walk out of a courtroom saying, "What the fuck? This is bullshit." But I'm glad you got one, and like I said, hopefully it's many more to go. So, anyways, cheers. Jim is saying, I agree on the non-citizenship thing, but they do allow non-citizens to purchase guns under current law if they're lawful permanent residents. Yes, if you're here on a non student visa too. I mean, like you need a green card basically, though. Yeah. Tarkina is saying, who's the public defender lawyer you guys have on sometime? Well, Nick has on sometimes. Steve Gosney. He was on Megyn Kelly yesterday. Yes, he was. And he had a really good job. Sounds like he had a good time with it. He says he didn't seem to like the fact it's a little shorter on, it's they're driven by their, breaks and commercial time. So he enjoys being able to just talk longer. And I agree. It sucks when you're really limited on time and it's not an easy subject to explain. But Bob Johnson says, correction, most cops don't know anything. I mean, yeah, fair enough. Zero Signal says, F you, Susan. Oh, you guys are, yeah. This is who we are, says 80% are paperweights. Winter Soldier says Sarah Boone luggage tanks. I'm working on that. That's something I'm trying to work at Teespring to get that set up so I don't have to have a million different merch stores. We need an update on Brooks. Well, I don't think there's anything yet. Once there's stuff going forward, we'll talk about it more, especially what the appeal says. I'm curious to see what that appeal will be. Eric V says, thanks for Eric V for $10. Thank you for the super chat. Says, thanks for the entertaining education. Don't tell Hunter B, but you crack me up. Well, I do what I can, and I appreciate it all, guys. I just glad you guys like it. Well, you guys are just trucking along here. A name of some sort saying the defense in the Delphi murder case asked to push the bail hearing. Any thoughts? I think they're just trying to wrap their head around what they've got. I think they've got a lot they're going through. I mean, really, he's they're not going to get him like a smoking hot bond no matter what happens. So that's part of the issue. There's no rush, no rush. I don't think so. Pretty Mama says, "What's the latest with Sarah Boone?" She's still going to trial in April for now. And actually, hold on, let's check and see if she wrote another letter to the court. She does that routinely enough. Boone, Sarah. Open. Come on. Let's see. No, she has not sent anything else out yet. She is still set for trial April 10th. Tarkina says Kyle Busch packed my bags. That'd be a funny one too. I gotta save that. That's a good one. That's brilliant. Could do a couple of those too. Oh, gonna capture that with Snagit. DB saying, "Would you ever work a judge?" You mean like work one over, like beat them, or do you mean work for a judge? I mean, as a staff attorney, being their staff attorney or like their bailiff or clerk, I mean, like Supreme Court or something like that, I could possibly see. But overall, not really at this point. If I was a lot younger and I just got out, probably. Oh, Steven's saying, yeah, Sarah Boone hasn't packed her suitcase yet, so they're not ready. Yeah, she needs more time. DB saying, sorry. I mean, would Sean be a judge one day? I mean, I could see that at some point, but I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of neat stuff about being a judge, but I think you give up a lot when you do that. I think I mentioned this before. There's a judge I was in front of before. He's a really good judge. He says one of the things he hates about being a judge is he knows that he says it's like being a kid. Your mom and dad aren't going to tell you. They only tell you what they want you to hear, and there's more to what they're not telling you. And there's going to be times where one side is not telling you an issue for whatever reason, not hiding it. They're just not telling you everything because they don't think you need to know. Or both sides are not telling you something because they don't want you to know it. And it's not in a lying way. We're just not providing that information. And he says at time, you have to make your decisions based on that. And he says it's like being a kid. And he says that's kind of one of the downsides. He misses being out there on the floor. So that's kind of stuck with me. I'm not sure if I'd like that as much. So that is, we got one last thing tonight before we end. And that is apparently we could file this in the Coinky Dink folder, apparently. But yes, in New Jersey, there is something going on where members of the Republican Party who hold office in New Jersey councils, New Jersey politicians are getting, in 2 weeks, two of them have been killed. So once again, is that a coinky dink or not? I don't know, but something doesn't seem right. I mean, that's just, really random. Like, So, New Jersey councilman was killed in a tragic murder-suicide. He was gunned down by a former coworker who later put a moonroof in the back of his own head. And this comes after the week after another New Jersey council person. Oh, that didn't switch over. Son of a bitch. I hate that. This happened last week. Eunice Doomfor was gunned down out by her car outside of her house. And she was shot multiple times in what her family believes was a targeted attack. And so the police believe she was targeted, but they haven't given a motive. So, yeah, we will find out. Anyways, this was Eunice. She's no longer with us. But yeah, it just seemed a little weird in a state like New Jersey. Republicans are getting murdered. Who knows? Oh my god, you guys are in freaking locals. Jeez. Some of that's funny. Yeah, this latest one was a murder suicide. Yes, Brenico says yes, she was targeted, but it definitely wasn't because of her political affiliation. Yeah, yeah, I love how they can already determine that. Steven is saying elections here in Jersey were way too close for some people. Yeah, yeah. Oh, you guys are asking about Senator Fetterman. Yeah, it sounds like he had another stroke. So good job, Pennsylvania. Electing a stroke-addled idiot to office. But hey, his wife looks like she was planning for that to happen so she could come and take over. So I'm assuming that's where it's meant to be. This is who we are. Says a Republican in New Jersey is a moderate Democrat. Some of them are, some aren't. There are some based Republicans in New Jersey, but yes, the odds of them being based are not generally. Yeah, overall, you're not wrong. Job well done says local sounds like a gay dating website. Well, I mean, I'll defer to your experience on those, but come join locals. You might like it. Uh, Porcelain Thunder says, I thought they ruled out a second stroke. Okay, look, we all know they're not going to come out and say, yeah, he had a stroke and everybody was right all along that this was a bad idea. So, I don't tend to trust that argument. The lump on his neck will take over until the lump on his neck will tell Quaid to start the reactor. Yes. Yes. Quato. Yes. Damn it, Quaid, give the people the air. Oh, that's the best part of Total Recall. Southern Brainwater for $2 says come. They wouldn't let you do this just 3-letter version of it? Okay, anyways, come. Trot Golfer says, I think he said his fifth shot. Yeah. Yep. Rabbit Stick says God hit his reset switch. Oh. This is who we are, says locals for wine moms with C-section scars. Not my locals. Not my locals. My locals is like the Discord. It's like the Wild West. It's like in Black Hawk Down, the Baccara market. Anything goes. Pretty much. Marco Polo says he has a lumpy road ahead. Yes. My three sons says I just tuned in for the first time. Is this a liberal or a conservative channel? I mean, I'm generally on the right when it comes to a lot of issues. But for like the things we talked about tonight, whether or not the U.S. committed a war crime by blowing up pipeline, a celebrity taking a gun into Mexico, whether or not you should be allowed to smoke weed and own guns at the same time, and what's gone on with the Memphis police officers, it's generally, is it legal? Is it right or wrong? There's generally try not to put too much on there when it comes to those things. Now, yes, do I think communists should be thrown out of helicopters? Yeah, but we don't need to talk about that to talk about the law. Senior Spielbergo says, "You Quaid, see you at the party, Richter." I can't do that very well. I can't. Oh, a job well done says, I guess that confirms Sean's been reading the. Dude, yeah, you act like you haven't known. I know Farms lurked forever, and I have an account there too. So, um, anyways, I hope that answers your question. By Fran says this is a very conservative Christian. Yes, this is a Christian Minecraft server. We tolerate no funny business here. No rock and roll and no dancing. Jeez. Okay, no, I'm not gonna. We're all good now. All right. Now I have to figure out who Sean is. Reverse doxing. Well, don't do that. Let's leave it because they know I'm on there, and it's all part of the game. Bay says Arnold asking what he did wrong is the good part. So, all right, guys. Well, that is it. I think we got through everything tonight. I was actually looking forward to that because that was a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff tonight. We will be back on, I think, tomorrow night. I know Nick said he's not doing anything. I don't know if Joe's gonna. Well, Joe's not on later tomorrow night because he's got Shabbos. So, yeah, we might do some. We might have some fun tomorrow night in the evening. Cover some other things. And then we'll have some more fun. So that is it for me, guys. If you're watching on Facebook, great. If you're on Twitter watching, thank you as well. Everybody here on YouTube, thank you so much for your reviews. If you guys do enjoy this, please give me a like. I would appreciate it. Food for the algorithm. If you have questions and comments, leave them below. I'll be happy to answer them. Might end up becoming another topic for another show. Everybody who's been in here in the comments and chat, I always appreciate it. Everybody who's a member, new members, thank you so much. And everybody super chatted tonight. Thank you so much for the super chats. I truly appreciate all of them. And I want to give a shout out to Jason again. Thank you for both those super chats. Those are super cool. And like I said, maybe hyperventilating will work for you. Your mileage may vary. And that somebody says Sean A logging confirmed. Yes, one of the A logs going after Ralph and Pantsu. Yes, Ralph's had a rough time. It's like it's almost you can play the violin music from the Civil War documentary. It's like, my dearest Pantsu, the A-Logs have waged an unstoppable assault on us during our campaign into Mexico. I've lost all hope in a victory. Stephen McGill says we will need to recap how the trial got pushed back 5 weeks. Once we looks like it's going to be going confirmed, we'll probably get some of that stuff set up. Oh, also, by the way, the Crumley's parents are arguing in front of the Michigan Court of Appeals whether or not they should be charged under the law. It's set for March 7th. If it's in person, I'm going to try to go if I can get in. If it's being streamed, we're going to cover it. So either way, we're going to try to do something with that. I just wanted to give you guys heads up. I'm working on that right now. Okay, well, trying to catch up. Well, God, you guys have exploded here in a second. NBC says Ralph deserves everything that's happened to him. All right, guys. Well, anyways, have a Portland Thunder. Ethan Crumley, he's the kid in Michigan who shot up the school, and they blame his parents for it. So, that is it, guys. And once again, everybody, enjoy your weekend. And remember, until next time, just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. Good night, everybody. Oh, and I will be on with Nick later tonight when he starts up.